The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
KNUS Denver. You dialed up right.
Right now.
News Talk 710. KNUS, the new home of Peter Boyles in the morning.
Bang! Pow! Better believe it. Straight up. 7:58. 2 minutes before 8 o'clock. Again, we started now, 5 a.m., live at 5 here on 710 KNUS AM. And, of course, the simulcast continues, 710knus.com. I'm Peter Boyles. Good morning. The weather, 43 for the high today, 53 on Saturday. Playoff game weather, 48 on Sunday, maybe a little bit of snow. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday stays in the high 40s and low 50s. I actually have some time off, yes. And, again, leaving it all in capable hands. Chuck Bonewell, Julie Hayden have Monday and Tuesday, and then former Congressman Bob O'Prey on Wednesday. So that's what's going to happen. Moments ago, we had Jack Cashill on, who I think hung the moon, Obama's Magical Kenyan Mystery Tour. This guy, we first met, my heavens. Joel, when do you think we first hooked up? I was thinking of driving in there this morning. I said, we're going to talk to Joel Gilbert. And I thought, when did I first meet Joel Gilbert? And I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, maybe longer than that.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been in touch, and a lot in the past year.
Do a little bit of your background so people get a sense of who you are before we begin.
Okay, well, I've been a filmmaker for 12 years. I started out making some films about Bob Dylan, some very revelatory films about his career. Yeah. I did a few rock and roll comedies as well. And about 6 years ago, I made a film called Farewell Israel, Bush, Iran, and the Revolt of Islam, explaining the Islamic-Jewish conflict, which was a field of study of mine. And I followed up with Atomic Jihad, which was the story of the Iranian nuclear program, and Obama's Politics of Defeat was the subtitle. And through doing that film, I saw many, many speeches of Obama looking for foreign policy statements about Iran. What happened was I saw him in every single speech. He would start to talk about the rich and the poor, and he would get a new personality. He would start screaming and yelling. He put on his black preacher voice about the poor people don't have an opportunity and the rich people, and then he'd go back to his normal voice. And I realized after seeing so many speeches that this guy had a passion for class struggle, and I couldn't figure out why. He had an exclusive prep school, Ivy Leagues, Harvard Law, and that led me down this path. I read his book, Dreams from My Father, and right away it just stuck out as this life journey in the little-known world of American Marxism. He goes to Occidental to study with Marxist professors. He goes to socialist conferences, Malcolm X. He goes to Chicago to organize. And he kept talking about this guy Frank throughout the entire book. Frank here, Frank there. I'm thinking about Frank. I look up this guy Frank. His name is Frank Marshall Davis, who was a Communist Party propagandist and Soviet agent who came out of Chicago to Hawaii to organize the communist takeover of the islands, and was a writer for the communist newspapers. And I saw that Obama looked just like this Frank guy and nothing like the Kenyan Obama. So that's what led me on the path to make the film Dreams from My Real Father, which is an alternate biography which shows that Obama's White House is the dreams from his real father, the real biological father who became his ideological mentor, who was a Soviet agent and Communist Party propagandist. And I think I show that Davis indoctrinated Obama into this ideology, and Obama is a red diaper baby, the child of a Communist Party member.
What strikes me, and I know moments ago we spoke with Jack Cashill, who I know, I think you guys know one another, but Jack has now taken this to the next level that, again, clean lies and not paying back literary advances, and whether or not there's actually a made-up trip to Kenya. But more importantly, either Bill Ayers or Barack Obama, it's probably worse if it's Bill Ayers, they go to another book and they lift terms and words and they lift entire phrases and they have it reappear in Obama's books. And as we said, anybody else would be nailed for plagiarism, and it apparently, again, it's going to coast by. I guess the question before we go to the guts of everything, and by the way, this time on the show you said you'd love to take calls, so our phone number is 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971 if you want to speak with Joel. Why won't, and I ask this question, why won't anyone other than yourself, Cashhill, more and more there are some people, but the MSM, the mainstream press, why won't anybody go near it? And the only time I remember them going near it is when the so-called birth certificate is announced and dropped by Barack Obama that's so fishy and so bizarre and so layered and such a computer-generated document that they trumpet. Here it is. Here's the birth certificate. Drive on. Joel, can you have an explanation for that?
Well, first of all, I can tell you that there is a vast left-wing conspiracy, and the conspiracy is around an idea. The idea, which is shared by so many journalists and so many elites in this country, is the age-old dream of this socialist utopia, that we can achieve utopia here on Earth, heaven on Earth, and that Obama is their leader that they see as the one who will lead us to this future. It's a classic perversion of Christianity, where they make the leader of the socialist, the leader of the country, is the living God, the immortal living God on earth. So for these people, it's literally a religion for them. This is their religious view of the world, and the Messiah is Barack Obama in this case, just as Chairman Mao was in China, or Ho Chi Minh, or Stalin, and he can do no wrong. Therefore, they see their role in this conspiracy of this idea to promote him and his agenda and achieve this utopian future. They will not say anything negative, and they'll only promote the line or the biblical phrases that he utters.
But why wouldn't, whatever standards we have today, and one of the things that Jack Cashel said is that he's got a big piece coming in American Standard on this plagiarism on Monday.
Okay.
But wasn't it you that told the press club in D.C., there's a Pulitzer Prize in this room, all you really have to do is lift the finger?
Correct. Again and again, I told the National Press Club that the Pulitzer Prize can be yours. All you have to do is watch my film, go on out, do a little research, or it's all they're done for you. Just write up an article, and we can have the result will be a Pulitzer Prize. But there's 100,000 journalists in this country, and literally none of them want to cover the news. Their goal is different. It's to suppress the news. And I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure from the top. Give you an interesting example. I extracted a speech from C-SPAN. There's a very famous speech which has been shown on Hannity a number of times of Obama talking about we're going to reduce the oceans and the planet's going to begin to heal. It's somewhat comical and silly how he's screaming this on the top of his voice. Hannity's shown that many times, and you can probably see it on YouTube. I decided that I'd like to see the original film, the original video, so I ordered it from C-SPAN so I could perhaps use parts of it in my new film project. And I get it from C-SPAN. It's the original high-quality video shown on C-SPAN. And when you get to the line where Obama says we're going to lower the oceans and heal the planet, all of a sudden the camera goes over to the audience, and it's fixed on the audience for 20 seconds. So you cannot see him. You can hear him, but you can't see him. So here we have something that is somewhat comical that has been used to ridicule Obama over the years, that no doubt somebody in the White House or in Obama's cadre have contacted C-SPAN and told them to make sure that no one can have that video. And we see this all over, that everywhere you want access to information, whether it be the IRS scandal, Fast and Furious, or just Obama's image, it's under control. And this is the unfortunately the classic Soviet era censorship.
Sure.
People that are here from the Soviet Union say, we've seen this. We know what this is.
Sure. Let me come to this. Hopefully, I've got a couple of days off. We're going to go for Mike Zullo and the guys out of Joe Arpaio.
Right.
They are supposed to be sitting on something new. And again, I'm just an internet guy. I've met Sheriff Joe, spoken with him, spoken with Mike. Joel, do you have any knowledge or any advance on what these guys are about to talk about or are talking about?
I'm not sure what their current issue is. I've provided them some information from my research, and there is a great deal of information that hasn't been made public. The problem seems to be that their hesitancy seems to be that even if they did make something public, it would probably largely be ignored. So I think their struggle has been to try to decide when to and how to present information, knowing that the courts are going to refer the information to Congress, and if you bring it to Congress, they're going to refer you to the courts.
Yeah.
And that seems to have been the dilemma with the information, anything about Obama's birth certificate, even though it's clearly a very, very poor forgery.
Absolutely.
There is just a fear in every institution to even discuss it, not in the newspapers, not in the courts, and not in Congress. So you may be the only forum where they can actually present the evidence. But the concern is, in a normal world, it would be number one news story. In this world that we live in, it seems to be irrelevant.
Our guest, of course, is Joel Gilbert, filmmaker, historian, researcher, and willing to take calls this morning. 303, not that he's never been willing, he's always been willing, but I'm going to make a case out of it. 303-696-1971. When we looked at that birth certificate, and of course, that the drumbeat had gotten so loud, and what's bizarre is how it gets there. He has a private attorney do a night flight, and they bring a PDF file. They don't bring the document. In other words, they don't bring a credential. They bring, and on this credential, on this PDF file, which has been layered, it's provable to be layered, they say father's race, and they put on his as race African. Now, the best of my knowledge, and you're the expert, can you find any other birth certificates in Hawaii? Because African is not a race. Can you ever been across another birth certificate for anyone that claims the race of the dad or mother is African?
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.